What is happening, everybody? Today, let me see how this looks. Alright, today we're here to do a little reaction video. I just scrolling YouTube, fucking around, and I saw this video and I was like, you know what? We're a zombie channel. Well, we're going to become more involved in zombies again. But I realized, you know what, this would be a fun way to start off the zombies again. I'm back into BO4, I'm trying to get some guns to diamond. I've been playing zombies for a while now. Getting back into it. I've been playing zombies since the fucking trailer came out. Wow. So, everyone who says you don't know shit about zombies, you can suck my left nut, because I've been playing zombies before you. So, I'm gonna set some shits here, and let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. So, if you guys are watching this non-live, go ahead and skip ahead a little bit until we actually get into it, because this is a live stream and I'm sending out notifications right now. If you're watching this non-live, go ahead and just skip ahead a little bit. You don't need to sit through all this. Nothing important's gonna happen. Okay guys, so I sent out notifications, so we're just gonna head and jump into this, guys. Play capture on. And let's go ahead and this is the video. You guys can see. Go ahead here and play it. So we can do.
Is there anything messier than splattering a zombie's brains all over the wall? Why, yes there is. The story behind the Call of Duty Zombies game mode. We've tried to simplify this as much as possible, but like the game mode itself, there's a lot of ground to cover with zombie guts. As a quick note, we're focusing on just the Ether timeline to date, as Black Ops 4's new and unconnected Chaos story is just ramping up. It begins. This story starts with the Ether, the Keepers, and two entities. One is Dr. Monty, who manifests as sort of a dimensional architect, and the other is simply known as the Shadow Man. Together, the two create a summoning key designed to manipulate the Ether. They use it to summon a perfect dimension called Agartha. In crafting and exploring this dimension, the Keepers encounter Dark Ether. This experience creates two competing factions, the Uncorrupted and the Corrupted. A war breaks out between the two, and knowing they're on the verge of losing everything, the Corrupted hide an all-powerful Ether pyramid on the Earth's moon. They're soon banished to the Dark Ether, where they evolve into the Apothicons. Uncorrupted Keepers hold their place as guardians. September 3-5, Meteor Shower. The Apothicons know Earth holds a gateway to Agartha. In 5 AD, they send meteors containing a potent material, element 115, to Earth. They hope the Earthlings will someday use it to wage war and consequently open a gateway to Agartha. Spoiler alert, they do. January 15, the Great War. A great war breaks out in 1292 between the humans and the Apothicons. The Keepers, alongside a mysterious group of 4 individuals, eventually known as the Primus, defeat the Apothicons in 1299, saving a man named Pablo Marinus. The war is forgotten, buried in the sands of time, and for hundreds of years, element 115 remains undetected. February 4th, 1931 to 1942. Rediscovery and research of element 115. It isn't discovered until 1931, when the Germans unearth it near Breslin. Ludwig Maxist, a scientist, hopes to use it to improve humanity. In an effort to begin testing and experimentation in earnest, he forms Group 935. A few years later, Dr. Edward Richtofen joins, though secretly he's acting on behalf of the Illuminati. In the meantime, Japan forms Division 9 and the Rising Sun Research Facility to study element 115 fragments discovered there. The Germans continue their element 115 experiments, and while their forays into teleportation work, the results also leave human subjects catatonic. The scientists resurrect one of these catatonic beings, hence the undead, aka a zombie. After obeying orders at first, it eventually attacks them and must be euthanized. Running low on research funding, Maxis decides to accept money from the German government in 1939. It's a last straw for Richtofen, who is also concerned over Maxis, considering smaller teleportation experiments a waste of time. You'll recall that the German government wasn't exactly popular around that time because of that whole Nazi thing. Fearing Maxis's decision would cause defection, Richtofen opts to continue the teleportation experimentation without Maxis. Richtofen goes behind Maxis's back and, along with an associate, Dr. Schuster, the two perform teleportation experiments involving humans, not the least of which includes Richtofen himself. He volunteers and ends up on the moon. While there, Richtofen discovers the Ether Pyramid. It electrocutes him, and he's soon driven mad by the voices of corruption. It doesn't take long for him to become obsessed with Agartha. He then ends up in Shangri-La, where he first encounters the focusing stone, which is infused with element 115. After a month, he returns to Schuster in 1940, with plans to build Griffin Station on the moon. In the meantime, Maxis's group 935 establishes research facilities around the world, July 18, 1942 to November 6, 1963, charging the Ether Pyramid. On the moon, Schuster kills a rat next to the pyramid, also known as the MPD, and discovers the death causes it to charge. Richtofen soon starts sending humans to the moon as sacrifices, using their souls to power the pyramid. Maxis is becoming concerned over Richtofen's behavior, but he continues his own experimentation. Deep down, he believes the undead will never be able to be controlled. In 1944, Group 935 captures Pablo Marinas, a Mexican spy. They hold him at Der Eisendrache, which has been around since the 1300s. He records strange visions of a corruption many centuries before, but is transported along with other subjects to a Siberian facility in 1945. After he has his spleen removed, Pablo Marinas dies. Who would have guessed? Meanwhile, there's outbreak at one of the facilities, the asylum. Tank Dempsey, a Marine sent to investigate, survives, but becomes a test subject to replace Pablo. He joins 3 others at a Siberian facility, Takeo Masaki, Nikolai Belinsky, and Richtofen. The group become known as the Ultimis. Richtofen has brainwashed the other 3 through these experiments, and they become his peons. In addition to the people at the facility, Richtofen has also been performing experiments on Maxis's daughter, Samantha's dog. Samantha runs to her furry companion, who has been turned into a hellhound. Unfortunately, Fluffy's in the teleporter at the time. Maxis runs in after her, and then Richtofen locks them in the teleporter, sealing their fate. Samantha is teleported to the moon, runs into the MPD, and becomes corrupted by the dark ether. Meanwhile, Maxis is teleported to the Crazy Place, where he learns to merge with electricity. Richtofen orders Grove to teleport Maxis to the moon, so he can try to persuade Sam to leave the MPD. Maxis gives her the instruction to kill them all, then kills himself. With his dying breath, he uses his electrical merging abilities to unite with the electrical equipment at the station. In late 1945, Group 935 is disbanded. The Pentagon and Soviets leverage Group 935's data for more experiments, and the Soviets also gain access to Richtofen's diary, which he dropped while teleporting from Der Riese. Several years later, in 1963, Ultimis teleports from Der Riese in Germany to Kino der Toten, marking the first time Ultimis travels through space and time. Remember Dr. Monty, one of the 2 beings who created the summoning key? He decides to step in, making little edits to the universe in the background. In the meantime, Yuri Savoysky and Gersh, who both started working for the Ascension Group in 1955, start collaborating. Together, they work on a device codenamed Project Mercury through 1963, when Savoysky is kicked from the project. He finds himself reading Richtofen's diary, which causes him to hear Samantha's voice. She convinces him to keep working on the Gersh device, aka Project Mercury, and to trick Gersh into activating it. When Gersh does, it causes a rift that she can use to travel and that sends Savoysky to the Pentagon. On November 6, 1963, Richtofen shows up at the Soviet facility to free Gersh, who is trapped in the Casimir mechanism. After reading his own diary, Richtofen enlists Ultimis to obtain the Vril device from Siberia. On that same day, John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon, and Robert McNamara meet with Fidel Castro in the Pentagon. There's a sudden zombie outbreak, which is why Samantha sent Savoysky there. March 17, 2011. After transporting themselves through the rift, Ultimis arrives in 2011 at the Siberian facility on the set of a George Romero film shoot. To destroy Ultimis, Samantha unleashes an undead horde on the set. The film's stars help Richtofen get the Vril device, and Ultimis heads back to Shangri-La to retrieve the one thing that can defeat Samantha, the focusing stone. September 1st, 2025 to January 19, 2036. Nuketown and global destruction. A research group called Broken Arrow needs more element 115, so they dig for it near a place called Nuketown. On October 13, 2025, Richtofen, who now has the focusing stone and the Vril device, travels to the moon. Using both of these items, he swaps bodies with Samantha, making him the leader of the zombies and the ether. Maxis asks the Ultimis members, sans Richtofen, to shoot missiles at Earth. They agree. The remaining members survivors of Ultimus manage to disconnect Richtofen from the ether, disabling his ability to control it. But Richtofen still leads the undead. By 2035, Maxis will control the ether and will then return to the moon to take Samantha from Richtofen's body so she can join him in Agartha. Down on Earth, the Nuketown nuke has fractured the multiverse as we know it. Zombies are everywhere, and a man named Samuel J. Stuhlinger joins a group called the Flesh, which feasts on the undead. But this undead flesh consumption causes Stuhlinger to hear Richtofen's voice. The master of zombies persuades Stuhlinger to develop polarization structures to mend the rift in the space-time continuum. Also, Richtofen himself can control the ether once again. After a massive zombie attack, Stuhlinger is one of the few survivors. He meets Russman, a Broken Arrow employee who managed to escape, Marlton Johnson, a Nuketown survivor, and Abigail Misty Briarton. Together, they construct the polarization devices and assume the collective name Victus. Maxis, who had also been communicating with those on Earth through electrical means, is also now corrupted by the dark ether. He reveals his own true intentions once the group has built the polarization machines. The rifts open up to Dimension 63, and seeing what has happened to her father, Samantha reaches out to the Maxis in that dimension to help her. On January 19th, 2036, Richtofen shows up and tells the undead version of himself to capture Victus for their blood. Victus, now being pursued by undead Richtofen, enters a rift for a new journey. That same day, Maxis destroys Earth. Back to April 14th, 1294, Dimension 6.
Fuck me.
So good! Tonight in a special event, legendary music icon Cher joins Fallon for a full hour.
I'm good.
63 and the divergence.
No,
the dimensional divergence between this dimension and the one we just discussed starts after the Great War between the humans and the Apothicons in 1292. In this timeline, a rescued Pablo Marinus started what happened during the Great War in 1300, sharing everything he has learned from the Keepers as well as all he knows about Element 115. In the alternate timeline, Primus rescued Marinus on the same date, April 14th, 1294, but we did not hear about him again, except for the strange occurrence at Der Eisendrache in the 1900s. This signals that Marinus's rescue and subsequent documentation was about the time the dimensions began to diverge. July 3rd, 1912 through June 4th, 1918, a new Richtofen and Maxis. In this dimension, Richtofen sees Maxis as a father figure. Group 935 appears earlier in his timeline, and Richtofen and Maxis become members in 1912. On January 15th, 1914, Richtofen encounters another version of himself who hands him some blood vials and tells him they'll help him one day. This other version then saunters back to the other dimension, where he arrives in 2036 to tell the undead version of Richtofen to pursue Victus as they go after the Chronorium, a special book. In 1917, Richtofen and Maxis find Marinus's journal, which tells of an Element 115 dig site in France. A year later, the two visit, and the discovery of this substance allows the researchers to create rifts. Samantha from the other timeline uses these rifts to reach out to this dimension's Maxis to ask for help. In this dimension, Maxis doesn't have a daughter. The deposit of Element 115 awakens undead knights from the Great War, who render Maxis catatonic. Richtofen removes Maxis's brain to preserve it. In this dimension, this is where Takeo, Nikolai, and Dempsey unite with Richtofen to create this reality's version of their squad, called Primus, though this is technically a reunion as they work together in 1299. They work together to save Samantha, who is imprisoned in Agartha. When Maxis's brain arrives in Agartha, Dr. Monty steps in, wiping the corrupted Maxis of the other timeline from existence. April 1st, 1933 through July 4th, 1941. Alcatraz operations. In 1933, 4 criminals unite in Alcatraz: Salvatore Sal De Luca, Billy Handsome, Michael Finn O'Leary, and Albert Al Arlington. The 3 others, feeling led on by Al's talk of a possibility of escape, turn on Al and kill him. Soon after, Richtofen sneaks through a rift and obtains vials of blood from Sal and Finn specifically. The next year, Al's killers are electrocuted and end up in a version of purgatory, battling waves of undead in an endless cycle. 6 years later, Richtofen shows back up. He meets with the Alcatraz prison guard and convinces him to build a lab under Alcatraz with the help of the Illuminati. A little over a year later, the facility is complete and stasis chambers are ready for subjects' arrival. In 1941, Richtofen meets Victus, who have traveled through multiple portals to get to the Chronorium. The Chronorium
zombies.
is an
I'm gonna be doing
artifact that
the
shows the
classified
reader
Easter egg
only
today.
what they need to see.
After we
Upon
watch
reading
this.
it, Richtofen discovers the many timelines and learns about the purpose of the blood vials.
Oh,
This
no,
is where
hold on,
Sal and
just chill.
Finn's
We're gonna be
blood
doing the
comes
Easter
in.
egg soon.
Richtofen delivers the
Classified.
vials of Sal and Finn to his younger self in this dimension, and also recovers the Victus vials. He'll need those to try and save Primus from ceasing to exist, as we'll see in a bit.
Jesus Christ! All right, we're gonna take a little breather. I'm gonna end it here. If you guys want to watch the rest, because you know I don't want to take all their credit. If you guys want to watch the rest, go ahead. There's a title. I'm not gonna put everything because I'm fucking lazy. I honestly thought I knew everything about zombies. I thought I knew the whole storyline, but apparently I didn't, which is crazy. I guess that's what happens when you don't do any of the Easter eggs in BO3 or BO4. I guess that can happen. But if I could go talk to the creators of Zombies and ask them when they first made it back in 2008, right? I'm Nocturne Totem. Yeah, okay. Did they think this would happen? I'm pretty sure if I asked them, they'd say no. They didn't think this whole story thing was going to happen because the original characters you play as on Nocturne Totem is just soldiers. I'm going to switch this over to Xbox. We're going to jump in and do the classified Easter egg solo. A little fun with that, and look up more Easter eggs because I'm pretty much going to get back into zombies because I miss this. And, yeah. Now people have asked me, do I like the other storyline? I'm trying to think what the... It's the new people in BO4. I've not done any Easter eggs. Not too big of a fan of them. I like the other story. Or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't really care. But, fuck me in the ass, dude. That's a lot of shit. Like, oh shit. Okay, I gotta boot up my Xbox thing on computer. So, and then we'll get going. But yeah, I'm gonna be booting up the Easter egg now. We're all out of game fuel. We need a new can. I have like 20 cans of game fuel, guys. Leave me alone. So we're gonna hop in and do an Easter egg and drink the 4th can of game fuel I've had today. So, ready? Fuck, dude, that had a little pre. The fuck is this motherfucker? Pedophile looking at my fucking homepage. Alright. Better than pussy. Okay, I'm gonna switch over from display capture right now. Alright. So, yeah, someone, I don't know if you're streaming or not. I'm gonna look it up. But if you're still in the stream, when I get PS4, fuck. All right, that's good as fuck. Better than pussy. When I get PS4, we have to do every single Easter egg in the zombie history. So we're gonna do classified, solo match, and let's get into doing this Easter egg. If I look some steps up, because I don't know how to do it, but y'all can just bear with me, you know? Hi guys, Mr. Orphle here.
Complete the Cold War.
Alright, so we got the first step down.